Is this on? If I stand up, can you hear me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just raise your... Yes.
So, you say you don't care about, people that much, you don't care about the machine although you drive. But what do you care about? We know you care about some stuff.
You know, I'm certain this has not frequently been said to you, but I didn't hear you. Next question. Yes. Yes, you.
So you've been amazingly outspoken about...
Not as spoken as you. So she was here the last time I was here, even if it was 45 years ago.
What about, what do you think about the gentrification, about the overconsumption of these corporate entities in our city? I feel like, we're past hyper-gentrification, we're now colonized. Do you see any hope for anything in this arena or anything that could be done?
I hope you heard this lengthy question, but as you can imagine, it's what every New Yorker thinks about. It's about real estate, right? The question was about real estate. I myself am right in the middle of moving, so this is no subject interests me more. Do I think it's going to change? I know it's going to change. How do I know this? Because it used to be like this, okay? So that it will change. If you ask me, is it going to be 1970 again? No. It's not going to stay like this. No, this is totally insupportable. This is a mania. It's a mania. If you've recently been looking for an apartment, it is a mania. It's not even a bubble. So, who are these people buying $100 million apartments, which you think is not affecting you, but of course it's affecting you. Even if you think it doesn't affect me, that's the $100 million people. First of all, you have to think, what could that possibly mean? What does it mean that an apartment costs $100 million? It doesn't mean anything. That building on 57th Street, the one that keeps falling down, but not unfortunately all the way. That is not a building. That is a washing machine. That is to launder money. Okay? That is what it is. The filthy money goes in, then they sell the apartment, it comes out clean. Where'd you get the money? Real estate. These people, whoever they might be, they will tire of this. It's just like all the rich people who move down here, okay? All the rich people move down here, they knock down almost the entire Bowery, whatever's left they'll keep knocking down. They're building a building right now on Lafayette and Bond Street. If they took 4 lots to do this, there are 11 apartments in the building. 11 apartments. 11 apartments in this whole building. Who are these people? These are people who are moving from, I guess, uptown, down here, because they're peeves. Should they actually live in these apartments and then look across at the other building that's about to be built, and very easy to look across because they're glass. The only good things about these glass buildings is that when they go out of style, they're really easy to knock down. Unlike regular people who move only like at gunpoint, which is why I'm moving, these people move because they're tired of where they live. They move to amuse themselves. So at a certain point, they'll look across at the other people in the glass building, and they'll realize they moved downtown because of the riveting local population, which no longer lives here. And then they'll realize they moved from the truly only neighborhood in Manhattan that is actually beautiful, which is the Upper East Side. Because it was built for rich people. So it really already looks great. You don't have to knock down a gas station and build a fake garage that looks like a loft that you made into an apartment. It's already not want to live there. So eventually they'll tire of it, and I'm hoping that by the time they try to move back uptown, we live there. Yes?
When you were on the documentary, when you were speaking to Martin, and he asked you about happiness, you said, I feel morose. And so, I would, I always think of life as like an open heart and a closed heart. Can you explain morose? Can we put that?
Okay, I hope you heard this question. She said in the documentary that Martin Scorsese made about me, he asked me about happiness. I take your word for it because I don't remember that. I don't remember making it. I don't remember seeing it. But I find it actually pretty funny that Marty asked me that question. And I said, I was morose. You said you don't understand me morose. What I meant by it. Let's not go to that question because I don't really remember it. But I would say that when I say that I'm morose to people, I usually say that to counter their belief that I'm depressed. Okay? I am not depressed. Depressed is a transitory state. Depressed is can be lifted. There are drugs for depression. There are drugs not for depression, but they work anyway. What I always try to describe morose, I believe morose is just a turn of mind. It's just the way I experience the world. It is just a tendency. Some people tend to buoyancy. I don't. I generally feel that this is just something that I was born with. I'm not surprised, that you don't understand this, because one of the things I think that might cause this is just simply 5,000 years of Jewish history.
Frank.
Oh, okay.
When you worked at Interview magazine, what did you do?
When I worked at Interview magazine, what did I do?
Yes.
You mean was I working in the restaurant or? All right, well, I actually was writing a column for Interview magazine, but I also did something else, which is because I was the only person there who had a driver's license. And so one of the things I did was drive the paper to the printers, for which I got $50, which is more than I got for writing. And so those were basically the two things I did. I wrote and I drove. I can't really expand beyond that. I would be somewhat interested, but not interested enough for you to answer. What sort of jobs do you imagine might have been available there? Yes?
What are you reading right now?
Well, I just finished reading, of course now I'm going to have to pronounce this. All right. I read a few weeks ago, and I don't know where, I must have read about this book because I can't remember who told me about it, but I bought a book that I must have read about called 1914. It is, as you can imagine, about World War I. It is written by a French writer. I do not speak French. I can't pronounce French. So I will spell you his name. Okay, his first name is Jean, G-E-A-N. His second name is E-C-H-O-N-E-Z. I never heard of this guy. Apparently he's extremely famous in France. I like this book so much that I bought another book of his. This book is called Ravel. It is a fictional biography of Ravel. Each of these books is about 120 pages. So that's not why I bought them. But it's not the worst thing about them. So I like both these books so much, I bought another one of his books, but I haven't read it yet.
Over here.
Oh, okay, yes.
You established that you're morose and funny and Jewish, and I understand all that. You were talking before about kids being brought up these days, too confident, never told, never criticized, and all of that. But you seem so confident to me, and you had the confidence to leave home and go to New York, and to expect your work to be published like that. And I just wondered what made you that way?
I hope you heard that. He says, what made me confident? It's like being morose, I was just born that way. Not because, believe me, of anything that was ever told to me around me, okay? I mean, it's not because this was instilled in me.
It's not.
Okay. No, absolutely not. I mean, first of all, when I was a child, parents did not just my parents, you know, my parents were completely average, okay, in every possible respect. And children were all parents cared about was how you behaved. That was it, not how you felt, not what you thought. Let me assure you, I was not asked a single question my entire childhood. Okay? So you can imagine how much I love this. Again, this is why I do this. But I'll never make up for that. Because I was always wanting people to ask me questions. And so, criticizing children was considered the job of all adults. In other words, that's what a parent was, that's what a teacher was, that's what, you know, if you did something bad 10 blocks from your house, the mother that saw you do that called your mother and just said, even if they didn't know each other, and said, you know, I just wanted to let you know that your child did something bad. And then your mother said, thank you so much for telling me what a horrible child I have. And then when you got home, you got punished. They didn't defend you now. All the time I'm saying parents defend their children. Children get thrown out of school. The parents sue the school. You know, I got thrown out of school. I got thrown out of the house. Okay, so whatever punishment you got outside of the house, you then got punished again for having been given that punishment outside the house. This was common. This had nothing to do with my parents. Now people do the opposite. And the people who are doing the opposite are people my age. You know, who I guess like thought, well, this didn't work out. So let me try this. Luckily, by the time we see that this doesn't work out, I'll be dead. Because I don't think it's going to work out that well, frankly. I mean, first of all, most of them don't apparently know how to walk. You know, so the other thing is that we, meaning people my age, we have used everything up. There's nothing left. There's just nothing at all left. Not just apartments, but I mean, I'm always hearing that they're, you know, 2030, we're going to be running out of water. And so first I panic. Then I think, 2030, you'll be dead. So whenever kids ask me, oh, you know, do you think I should be a writer? Do you think I should be a filmmaker? I always say to them, you know, if I was your age, I'd look for water. Because apparently, we somehow managed to drink it all. Yes. 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 I didn't hear you. Oh, do I think America is still a democracy? Well, not compared to the America, you know, that had the better democracy, but yes, compared to, say, oh, I don't know, Syria. So, it's still a democracy, it's just not democratic enough. It's much less democratic. But it's not as undemocratic as Europe, because they have the EU. So, people who live in European countries have no real representation. You know, no real political representation, because they have like this bunch of people in Brussels who decide everything. So I would say that in general, although people seem to think democracy is proliferating, in fact it is not. It is shrinking everywhere. What is proliferating is capitalism, which is not the same as democracy. Which, which, you know, if you think it is, I give you Vladimir Putin. Or George Bush. I mean, so that, no, it is less democratic, but really, of course, there are numerous reasons for it, but one of the reasons are the citizens, okay? The citizens are doing a very bad job. Like, a really, really terrible job. And the parents are doing a really terrible job because democracy is a totally unnatural form of government. It has to be taught to people. It is not at all what is natural to human beings. What is natural to human beings? Monarchy. What is natural to human beings? A dictatorship. Go to a playground. You know, or a jail. You know, so that you have to teach people how to live in a democracy, which requires from each person something other than voting once in their life. Okay? It requires more than voting. And so it requires more than taking a picture of yourself voting. And so, truthfully, it is the fault of the citizens, you know, who are so either tired from looking for apartments or interested in themselves that it slips away. It has to be taught every single time someone is born. You have to teach them how to do this, you know, and you have to make them do it. So yes, we have less democracy and more capitalism, and the less democracy you have, the more capitalism you're going to have. You know, so that's why there's certain people who like this, but I'm not one of them. Yes?
I wanted to ask you more about identity politics because I was cheered when you said you hated it. I'm a high school senior. I was going around and visiting colleges, and a lot of colleges have a lot of classes that are really based on identity politics. They have, you know, like lesbian Jewish experience, and classes like that are coming into the curriculum kind of like termites. And I want to hear you insult it more.
Okay, so what he said is that he's looking at colleges because I suppose you're looking at them with intent of going. Yeah. Did you ever think about not going? So he was interested in what I said about identity politics because as he goes around, he sees that colleges have classes and things like the lesbian Jewish experience. Is that actually a thing?
Yeah, sure.
You know, if college had been like that when I was young, I probably could have gotten in. They used to have like chemistry. You know, things I can't understand. You know? So of course, and I'm certain again that the people who are teaching these are my age. I don't know. It costs a lot of money to go to college. It costs a shocking amount of money to go to college. You could either go to college or you could save up to buy an apartment. I live really in the middle of NYU, although I'm moving in 2 weeks. And I live in a place that someone else, I wish it had been me, calls NYUistan. And very frequently, these kids come up and talk to me about various things. And very often, for some reason, they come and tell me how much they owe in college loans, or how much it costs to go to NYU, which I can't remember, but is absolutely something like $60,000 a year. $60,000 a year. This is shocking. And I always say to them, well, if you were an adult and you earned $60,000 a year, you couldn't afford to live in this neighborhood because of you. But also, they seem very surprised how much money they owe in college loans and how much NYU costs each year. So apparently, they don't tell you this till you already agree to go. Like I say, well, didn't you know it was $60,000 a year before you signed up? Didn't you know that you borrowed the money? It's called a loan. You have to pay it back. It seems to me like a very poor use of your time. You're young. Enjoy yourself. Don't incur debt. I mean, especially for this kind of thing. I really think people should only go to college if they're like incredibly rich and it doesn't matter, or if they actually want to do something that you have to go to college for. Like if you're thinking of being a neurosurgeon, please go. But if you're wondering like if poetry and the visual arts are kind of the same, don't go. Yes? Okay, did you say you were wondering how I thought about a home workspace? Oh, a study. Did I have a study? Okay. I understand. This is another real estate question. I own 10,000 books. Exactly, I know this because they were just counted and boxed. They are in alphabetical order. They are in 1 million boxes on the floor of my new apartment, where apparently, due to some mistakes made by a few people, they're not gonna fit. So that's my workspace. You know, I mean, to me, you know, I know that people now that, you know, I always wrote in my apartment. I wrote in my apartment when it was this big, you know, I write in my apartment. You know, I realize, of course, now that people who are young, they live with lots of other people. This seems so bad to me that it almost doesn't seem worth being young. I mean, I have lived alone my entire life. All right? And you have no idea what an accomplishment that is for a lesbian. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much, Fran Lebowitz, for being with us tonight.